Okay, so today we'll start with fourth compound of study of compounds, that is sulfuric acid. Till now we have done with hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, ammonia, and the fourth component is sulfuric acid. Again in sulfuric acid, same way we are going to study discovery of sulfuric acid, then we are going to study occurrence of sulfuric acid, preparation method for sulfuric acid, and very important chemical properties of sulfuric acid. Many a time they ask question based on chemical properties in sulfuric acid. Okay, so today, so first we'll start with discovery of sulfuric acid. So in 8th century, alchemist Zabir Hayin, first time he studied this acid, he got this chemical which is corrosive in nature, but he did not name that compound. After him in 16th century, John Helmont, he was the person who again studied this compound. He did a destructive distillation of green vitriol. We have studied this compound green vitriol in grade 9. Do you remember formula of green vitriol? Any one of you?
Ma'am,
FeSO4.7H2O.
FeSO4.7H2O.
Yes, so it's FeSO4.7H2O. So as it contains SO4 and water molecule, he did destructive distillation from that he got sulfuric acid. After him in 17th century, Glauber, again he studied same reaction for synthesis of sulfuric acid, and then he invented new reaction where he reacted sulfur and potassium nitrate to get sulfuric acid. But all this reaction till now, whatever they performed to get sulfuric acid were very expensive reactions. So after them in 1830, P. Phillips in England, he performed an experiment, and then he developed this method of contact process for production of sulfuric acid. Next, we'll study about structure and occurrence of sulfuric acid. If you will study structure of sulfuric acid contains one sulfur atom, 4 oxygen atoms, and 2 hydrogen atoms, in which sulfur is connected with 2 oxygen atoms by double bond and 2 hydroxyl group, HO group, by single bond. We'll talk about occurrence of sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid you can get in a small amount. It is present in hot springs, even near sulfide beds where we get ores of sulfide. Sulfide is S. So metallic sulfides, where we get ores of metallic sulfide, from there we can get sulfuric acid, which is present in black color. Then by hydrolysis method, we can extract that sulfuric acid from this metallic sulfides. And in third method, by oxidation of sulfur dioxide, where we have studied this reaction in acid rain, where sulfur dioxide, H2SO4, sulfuric acid is produced from sulfur. When we burn fuel, your sulfur combines with oxygen to produce sulfur dioxide. The sulfur dioxide combines with your atmospheric moisture and it changes into sulfuric acid. Okay, so these are the three things from where we can get sulfuric acid naturally or in free state. Then in combined state, yes.
Ma'am, what's the difference between triple bond, double bond, and single bond?
Those things I think we have studied in bonding process, like where we have studied electrovalent and this ionic bond and covalent bond. When there is a single bond, there is only 2 electrons are bonded in single bond. If there is a double bond, 2 electrons, like in sulfuric acid, if there is a bond between sulfur and oxygen, double bond, it means 2 electrons of sulfur are bonded with 2 electrons of oxygen together, right? In which there is a concept of sigma and pi bond, which we have not introduced that concept till grade 10. But in this, one bond is sigma bond and one bond is pi bond. Okay, so in single bond, only 1 electron from sulfur will participate in bonding, whereas in double bond, 2 electrons of sulfur will participate in bonding with 2 electrons of oxygen. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. So next is combined state. In combined state, we have many metallic sulfate compounds where your sulfur and OH and O group is present together. Next, we'll talk about preparation, very important part. there is only one preparation of sulfuric acid, which is contact process. It's an industrial process where we carry out a very big process to get sulfuric acid. Now in this, if you can observe, there is very big unit of different chambers, right? So in diagram, if you will observe, there is first chamber in which I have shown inlet for air, and there is a presence of sulfur inside that chamber. Next, 4 chambers are for purification purpose. So your step 1, sulfur burners and purification, these are the first 5 chambers for step 1. Step 2 is contact tower. You can observe 6 chamber where I have written catalytic converter, right? So this is a chamber in which our step 2 we are going to perform. And then step 3 in your last chamber, which is your absorption tower. Now, again, observe that diagram properly, because in next slide, we are going to study each and every chamber, how the process is carried out. First 5 chambers, we are going to include all these chambers for burning and purification process in step 1. Step 2, your 6th chamber, which is your catalytic converter, which is a contact tower. And the last chamber is absorption tower, where we are going to get sulfuric acid after this process, right? So next, now we'll study different steps in preparation of the sulfuric acid. So first step is production of sulfur dioxide, or as I said, it's a first chamber where burning of sulfur or sulfur pyrite we are going to do. So in a first step, either we can burn sulfur powder. We know that sulfur is a yellow colored powder. So either we are going to burn that sulfur powder, or we are going to take iron pyrite. What is iron pyrite? Iron pyrite is ore of iron. It's a sulfide ore of iron whose formula is FeS2, right? So either sulfur powder or iron pyrite we are going to burn in first chamber. In first chamber, we are going to provide, or we are going to blow air from the inlet, right? So if you remember in diagram, there was one inlet at the bottom from which we are going to enter our air containing oxygen. In this chamber, we are going to heat this chamber at a temperature of around 450 to 500 degrees Celsius, and the reaction will occur where your sulfur and oxygen will react together to produce sulfur dioxide, SO2. If you are taking iron pyrite, then iron pyrite will burn with oxygen to produce iron oxide, Fe2O3, or with formation of sulfur dioxide in this process. Now this whole reaction will occur in your first chamber. Next 4 chambers are for the purpose of purification. Why do we need to purify this SO2? This SO2 with air, like with presence of oxygen, it contains many impurities like dust particles, pyrite dust, arsenic oxide. These are the impurities which are present with your SO2, right? So to remove all those impurities, we need to pass our SO2 gas through these chambers. So our first chamber is dusting tower. In dusting tower, we are going to remove dust with the help of steam. So if you can observe in diagram from the upper end, observe the diagram from the upper end, we are going to pass steam, and that steam will help us out to remove dust particles. Those dust particles will get accumulated at the bottom of your container or that tower, and only your SO2 gas with oxygen or with air will be passed through the pipe to your next chamber. That pipe between 2 chambers, the chamber of steam and the water spray, that pipe is called as cooling pipe, where we are going to cool this SO2 gas. As we know that in first chamber, we burn sulfur with air. So that SO2 fumes are very hot. So we will cool down those SO2 fumes in this cooling pipe, and next it will pass to next chamber. Our next chamber is scrubbing tower. Third chamber is your scrubbing tower. In scrubbing tower, what we are going to do? Again, we are going to remove the impurities. Here we are going to spray water, right? With help of water, we'll wash the SO2 gas to remove impurity. Next tower is drying tower. In drying tower, if you can observe on the top, concentrated H2SO4 spray. We know that concentrated H2SO4 acts as a drying agent. As it acts as a drying agent, it will remove or it will absorb all the water contained from your gas, right? So in this container, in drying tower, we are going to spray concentrated sulfuric acid. This concentrated sulfuric acid will absorb all the moisture part from your gas, and then that dry gas will pass in a next chamber. Next chamber is arsenic purifier. In arsenic purifier, we are going to remove arsenic oxide present with your sulfur, right? So here we'll remove arsenic particles of arsenic oxide by passage of ferric hydroxide. Ferric hydroxide is FeOH
Ma'am, your
thrice.
voice is breaking.
Yes, ferric
Ma'am, can you
hydroxide.
repeat? Your voice was breaking. Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
From
Yes,
where?
ma'am, your voice
Yes.
was breaking.
Ma'am,
Okay.
can you repeat?
From where you want me to repeat?
Ma'am,
Yes.
from the
After
time
the
you were telling
drying
something
tower.
about arsenic.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yes. So after drying tower, next chamber is arsenic purifier. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next chamber is arsenic purifier. In arsenic purifier, we are going to remove arsenic oxide with the help of ferric hydroxide. Ferric hydroxide is FeOH thrice, right? So with the flow of ferric hydroxide, all the arsenic oxide compounds will be settled down in chamber, and then your pure sulfur dioxide, dry pure sulfur dioxide will pass through the pipe. Now you can observe that blue colored box. Can you observe that blue color box after arsenic purifier?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that blue colored box is a light box or the light tasting box, in which it's a box where inside there is a complete dark, and then we are going to pass light through it. Due to presence of light, we can observe presence of impurities, right? If there will be no impurities, we'll pass that SO2 gas to the next chamber, which is your catalytic converter. Now this is the second step of your process, catalytic oxidation, which will occur in contact tower. Now here your SO2 and oxygen, it will form oxidation reaction in presence of V2O5 at a temperature of 450 to 500 degrees Celsius. Now vanadium pentoxide V2O5 is a cheaper ore and less easily poisonous compound, and therefore we use it as a catalyst in this process, right? So this it's a ion chamber which is completely filled with vanadium pentoxide, through which we are going to pass sulfur dioxide and oxygen. In this, we need to maintain temperature at 450 to 500 degrees Celsius. If temperature is less, your process will be very slow process, and it will take long time to produce sulfur dioxide. Even we need to maintain pressure at 1 to 2 atmospheric pressure. If pressure is more than this, then it will cause harm to your setup or to the chamber, to the contact tower, right? So we need to maintain pressure at 1:2 atmosphere, temperature at 450 to 500 degrees Celsius, in presence of catalyst vanadium pentoxide. This reaction, if you can observe, I have shown double-headed arrow, as reaction is reversible reaction. Even I have shown triangle on product side, which represents that my reaction is exothermic process, right? So in the starting of reaction, I'm going to heat the container, as I need to maintain temperature. But as reaction is exothermic reaction, after some time I'll discontinue the provision of heat for this chamber. So in second chamber, there will be formation of SO3, sulfur trioxide, right? Now in next process, in third step and in last chamber, which is your absorption chamber, we are going to spray sulfuric acid, concentrated sulfuric acid on sulfur trioxide, right? Now why directly we don't react this SO3 with water to produce sulfuric acid? Because we know that it's possible. We have studied it in acid rain that when SO3 reacts with H2O water, it produces sulfuric acid. But this SO3, the very first thing, the vapors are very hot, and these are very highly acidic, So if you will directly react it with water particles, then it will produce a fog, very dense fog of sulfuric acid, and then it will become very difficult to condense those vapors and to get liquid form of sulfuric acid, right? So what we do, we react this sulfur trioxide with concentrated sulfuric acid, and we change it to oleum. Oleum is a compound, you can observe that molecular formula H2S2O7, right? So it's a oleum. We convert sulfur trioxide to oleum, and then we react it with moisture or with water particles. We dilute this oleum to get 2 molecules of sulfuric acid, H2SO4, right? So it's a complete process of industrial preparation of sulfuric acid. Yes, Mihir, any doubt? Anyone, any doubt in process?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll start with chemical properties now. In chemical properties, very first chemical property is that sulfuric acid is dibasic acid. Why it is dibasic acid? You can observe that reaction when sulfuric acid H2SO4, if you will try to dilute it in water, it will dissociate as H plus ion and SO4 minus ion. Yes, Siddharth.
Ma'am, are the physical properties not in syllabus?
No, physical properties are not in syllabus for sulfuric acid. Even in nitric acid, physical properties were not there in syllabus. Okay. Yes. So sulfuric acid, when we dilute it in water, it produces H plus ion and SO4 minus ions, of which you can observe reaction. There is a formation of 2 hydrogen ions, 2 H plus ions in reaction. As there is a formation of 2 H plus ions, the acid is dibasic acid. Have you understood the reason why sulfuric acid is dibasic acid? As it produces as it produces 2 hydrogen ions, 2 positive hydrogen ions in reaction. These hydrogen ions further they react with H2SO4 to produce hydronium ion, to shows the basic property of this sulfuric acid. Okay, now we are going to study few reactions of sulfuric acid, concentrated sulfuric acid, when it reacts with different substances, how they form the reaction. So first reaction is with active metal. See there I have shown reaction with iron and zinc. When H2SO4 dilutes sulfuric acid, when reacts with Fe and zinc, it produces FeSO4 and ZnSO4. It means when active metals reacts with dilute sulfuric acid, they produces respective sulfate with formation of hydrogen gas in reaction. Okay, then reaction with bases. In bases we have taken metallic oxide and metallic hydroxide. So metallic oxide, when they react with sulfuric acid, again they produces respective sulfate with formation of water particles in reaction. So they have given reaction for copper sulfate and copper oxide and lead oxide to produce copper sulfate and lead sulfate with formation of water molecules in reaction. Next, reaction with hydroxides. When sulfuric acid reacts with hydroxide, it forms same type of reaction the way it reacts with oxide. Only the change is that there will be formation of two molecules of water, right? So if you can observe all the 4 reaction with oxide, there is formation of 1 molecule of oxygen, whereas with hydroxide there is a formation of 2 molecules of water in reaction. Next is reaction with metallic carbonate. Metallic carbonate, for example, I have taken copper carbonate and potassium carbonate. When it reacts with sulfuric acid, I think I have given you a basic principle behind all these reactions while studying reactions of hydrochloric acid, that when any carbonate reacts with acid, it produces carbon dioxide. So your carbonate will react with sulfuric acid to produce respective sulfate with formation of water and formation of carbon dioxide in reaction. Metallic bicarbonate, when metallic bicarbonate react with dilute sulfuric acid, they produces sulfate of that sodium with formation of water and carbon dioxide in reaction. Same way, when we react sulfuric acid with metallic sulfite like K2SO3, when it will react with sulfuric acid, it will produce Na2SO4 with formation of H2S and with formation of SO2. By mistake I have written S there, but it will produce SO2 gas in reaction, sulfur dioxide gas in this reaction. Then metallic sulfide like zinc sulfide, when metallic sulfides reacts with sulfuric acid, they produces zinc sulfate with formation of H2S gas, right? Again, I'll repeat this point, like in HCl we have done that they will ask you question based on difference in reaction between sulfite and sulfide with concentrated sulfuric acid. So in sulfite, it produces sulfur dioxide, SO2, and with sulfide it produces H2S gas in reaction. Okay, so these were the reactions with different compounds to get the respective salts with formation of water. Where we have carbonate, there is a formation of carbon dioxide. Where we have sulfate, there is a formation of sulfur dioxide. Where we have sulfide, there is a formation of H2S in reaction. Next we'll study third chemical property of sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid acts as a non-volatile acid. Now, if you remember, in hydrochloric acid, in preparation of hydrochloric acid, we have done one point. Why do we use, in preparation of nitric acid, we have studied one point. Why do we use concentrated sulfuric acid in this reaction? We use concentrated sulfuric acid as it's a non-volatile acid. HCl, HNO3, both these are volatile acids. So we can't use those acid to prepare another acid, right? We have done with both this reaction, a reaction to produce nitric acid and reaction to produce hydrochloric acid. So when sodium nitrate or potassium nitrate reacts with sulfuric acid, it produces nitric acid with formation of bisulfate salt of sodium and potassium. Same way, when it reacts with sodium chloride and potassium chloride, it produces HCl with formation of salt of sodium and potassium, bisulfate salts of sodium and potassium. The reason studying this reaction is just to understand that why do we use concentrated sulfuric acid in preparation of nitric acid and HCl, as it's a non-volatile acid, as boiling point is very high for sulfuric acid, it can replace the acid, and in preparation we can get the volatile acids like nitric acid and hydrochloric acid. Next and fourth property is oxidizing action of sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid, it forms an oxidation reaction in which it gives away one oxygen to respective metal or non-metal to produce the oxide of that compound. For example, reaction with carbon produces carbon dioxide with formation of water and sulfur dioxide, whereas reaction with sulfur produces 2 molecules of water with formation of 3 molecules of SO2, sulfur dioxide in reaction. In your book, they have given many reactions with metals. They have given reactions with different inorganic compounds for oxidation. But in our syllabus, we are going to study only 2 reactions, oxidizing action of sulfuric acid with carbon and with sulfur, right? So we are not going to study all those metals which they have given like copper and zinc, or the organic compounds which they have given like H2S and HI. We are not going to study all those reactions. We are going to study reaction only for carbon and sulfur, right? The next reaction or next chemical property of sulfuric acid is dehydrating action. What is the meaning of dehydrating agent? When any compound absorbs moisture or water content of any substance, then it is called as dehydrating agent, right? So sulfuric acid, as it absorbs water content, it acts as a dehydrating agent, and it produces hydronium ion from that water content or the moisture content of the substance. Now, for dehydrating agent, again in your book they have given many different reactions, but we are going to study only 2 important reactions which can you will get question, observation based question from this part. Very important part, very important reactions. First we are going to perform reaction with sucrose C12H22O11. When it reacts with concentrated sulfuric acid, it produces carbon with formation of H2SO4 with water particles. It means it's a it contains water of crystallization. Sulfuric acid in product will contain water of crystallization. Now, if you can observe that diagram, you can observe in container we have taken sucrose solution to which we are going to add sulfuric acid. As you will start adding sulfuric acid will form dehydrating action. It will absorb all the hydrogen and oxygen content of your sucrose, and only carbon will remain in your container. Only the solid carbon will remain over there. Now, I think we know that we have last year we have studied carbon and carbon compounds. There we have studied that carbon, pure carbon, is black in color. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So
Yes, ma'am.
after this reaction, as complete water content will be absorbed from your sucrose, only carbon will remain. As only carbon will remain, it will change to black colored solid and it will rise up in your reaction. So in third diagram, you can observe that that carbon column is coming up from your beaker, right? So it's called as carbon column produced in this reaction, right? Very interesting reaction. We are going to perform this reaction in laboratory when we'll start with a schooling in laboratory. I am going to show you this reaction, how the carbon column is formed, right? Next, they have given dehydrating action with copper sulfate crystals. These are hydrated crystals of copper sulfate. Tell me the color of hydrated crystals of copper sulfate.
Ma'am, blue.
Exactly.
They're
They are,
blue.
yes, they are blue in color. So copper sulfate with 5 molecules of water, which is blue in color, to which we are going to add sulfuric acid. You can observe the second diagram I have shown. So after addition of sulfuric acid, your CuSO4 will lose those water particles. It will lose water particles to produce 5 copper sulfate with formation of 5 water molecules. So if you can observe second test tube in your reaction, you can observe that there is a white colored solid present in test tube with liquid. So this liquid is your water and that white colored solid is copper sulfate crystals, which are dehydrated one. Okay, so this is a dehydrating action or dehydrating property of sulfuric acid. Again, I'll repeat, this part is very important for exam point of view, as they ask the observation based question based on this. Okay, so here we have done with this chapter. I repeat all the points we have done. We have done with discovery. After that, we have done with structure of sulfuric acid and occurrence of sulfuric acid. After that, we have done with contact process, very important process in which we have studied how sulfuric acid is produced in this reaction from sulfur or iron pyrite in presence of air, right? So we are going to follow 3 steps in this. First step is production of sulfur dioxide. Second step is catalytic oxidation in presence of vanadium pentoxide, and then last step is absorption tower. Then we have done with chemical properties. We have done with few chemical properties like reaction with dibasic acid. Then we have done action of dilute sulfuric acid. By mistake, I have written HCl over there. It will be sulfuric acid. So sulfuric acid, when reacts with different compounds, you get different type of salts with formation of hydrogen gas with metals, formation of water molecules with your bases like oxide and hydroxide. Then when it will react with carbonate, there will be formation of carbon dioxide gas. With sulfate, there will be formation of sulfur dioxide gas, and with metallic sulfide, there will be formation of H2S gas in reaction. Then we have done with non-volatile nature of sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is non-volatile acid as its boiling point is very high, and therefore we use it in preparation of other acids like nitric acid and hydrochloric acid. Then oxidizing action of sulfuric acid on carbon and sulfur to produce sulfur dioxide in both the reactions, and then dehydrating action on sucrose and on CuSO4 in this reaction, right? So we have done with this part of sulfuric acid in this chapter.